Hey Scrapbookers, it's Katie Scott with Kiss and Tell Scrapbooking, and I am up with an idea. So sometimes I wake up with an idea, and I really think it's important to listen to that first idea that you have in the morning because it's usually true. Um, and I have a super active dream life, so sometimes I'll wake up and I would have had a dream that I remember, and I'll have all sorts of ideas because of that. But today I didn't particularly remember my dream, but I did wake up with an idea. And it wasn't one that I was like, it's not one actually that I even want to tell in a scrapbook. And so the current project I'm working on is called the Century Project, and I am making a page for each year of the 1900s, which I think is the 20th century. And so yesterday I was doing some organizing and I came across my 1990 student ID. And so I'm sure that was kind of playing into it. And I think I also had a discussion at work where we were talking about first impressions and how if you trust your gut, that usually if you develop that sense that you can really, like, it's what Oprah said, people show you who they are in your first meeting, so you can really know. If you get to listen to that, and with what I do in my work, I get to know people over a couple of years, and it's at a time when they're having a very difficult time. So we get to see people in their raw form, and you learn a lot about people from seeing that. And you learn a lot about how people deal with difficult situations. But anyways, this is the idea I woke up with. The year is 1994. It's very clear. And so I have this organized according to the Stacy Julian's Library of Memories, and she recommends using these. You get them at Office Depot. And then organizing by year, which is just brilliant. So I'm going to look for 1994, and my story is this. Halfway through college, I had a boyfriend. I started dating a boy. And so that's like not really, and the other part of like why this story maybe formulated for me in my head was, and why I woke up with it today, is the Paper Clipping Roundtable, which it's a podcast about scrapbooking, which I'm a super fan of. Their topic this past week was your single life. So probably I also had like when I was a single lady on my mind. And so this is what I wake up with today. It's and the other thing is that I was making a timeline of my life. And so my kids sometimes ask about, like, well, how did you know daddy was going to be daddy when you met him? And so, because they just kind of think like, they don't know that anything went on ever before that. They just figure that was the one, Cinderella meets her prince, and that's the one. So, anyways, before I met my husband, but when I'm halfway through college, I had a boyfriend who was like, he was the nicest boyfriend I've ever had. Seriously, like, he was probably like, if you were watching a romantic comedy, like, he was nicer, on paper, he was nicer than my husband. I mean, he was Mr. Popularity. He played, one of the very popular sports at my college, so he was very well liked. He was smart. He was funny. He graduated or finished school before I did, and he got a fabulous job, and he was making lots and lots of money. And we were together for 4 years, and it was a good time. I mean, I always, like, he was a great boyfriend, and I loved him, and I thought we would get married. And then one day, for no particular reason, in my gut, and there was no, and even looking back, there was no sign. There was no sign whatsoever. But in my gut, one day I woke up with this feeling like he had betrayed my trust. And I just, like, I don't know. I just really felt like, and I'd never had that thought before. Like, before I woke up with that feeling, I had never had that thought, never crossed my mind, okay? So I wake up with that feeling, and he had been, actually at, here comes my husband, he had been at a sporting event, and so he was going to be flying back into town that night. And so I was, we were planning to see each other. I'll probably continue this in a minute. Just going to walk through. Hey, honey. So I'm trying to find this picture that I will use for this page. I gotta tell you, I reorganized my scrapbooking room last night, and I had all of my ribbons in jars, and I put them in this little sink that we have, and so the whole sink was filled up with like mason jars. And we were in Masterful Scrapbook Design, which is Debbie Hodges' site with Get It Scrapped, and then the membership site is Masterful Scrapbook Design, and she's got like 5 or 6 seminars that are live every month. And yesterday was Kim Watson, and I think she's on the Creating Keepsakes Dream Team. So she was talking about how she lives in a very modern house, and how I found the picture I was looking for. So she lives in this very modern house, and she's been, the topic of Masterful Scrapbook Design this month was being trendy. And she said she lives in a modern house, but she this is so weird, because I have these old pictures, but what do you do with them, really? It's not like you really want to. So now I figured out a place to put them. It's the point of this. Seeing if I have any others. I don't need all of them, but I do have several anyways. That really don't need to see the light of day. But also, you don't want to throw them away. But anyways, back to Kim Watson. She was talking about how she was so in love with that trend of the mason jars. And so, gosh, there's a lot of photos from 1994. Okay, that's probably plenty. So I found like maybe 10. I probably have more. There are more because it was 4 years of time. But these are the pictures I'm going to use. I might not necessarily make them be pictures that you can see on my page. Oh. Hey Charlie, can you bring me some saline solution, please?
I'm sorry.
Will you bring me saline?
No, here you go.
Saline? Like saline solution?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I have these pictures that relate to what I'm going to talk about. And I'm just going to pick this one that isn't about the topic, actually. So these are the pictures. There's like 10 pictures, and I'm just going to store them so you can't even see them in an envelope on the page. This is the picture I'm going to use of a friend who had little children who was friends with this person, and I I continued my friendship with her. Anyways, yeah. So I am going. My Century project is a project which is in a regular notebook, and I get these at the office supply store. What I like about them is they've got plastic on the outside, so you can easily change up the binder. And this is how I will usually make a, you know, the you can make the end pretty, even though it's just a regular notebook. Okay. This is going to be a very simple page. So these are my pages so far for the Century book. And I have gone back and forth as to whether it's going to start from 1900 and go forward. But I think it would be more interesting if we started here and now. And so I had made this page recently, which kind of is about reading scrapbooks, but it's kind of perfect for opening it up. So then we've got like 2008, 1985, 1977, 1945, and then 1912. So that's where we are so far. I'm thinking this page is gonna just say, I'm gonna use some letters and an envelope. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So first I just need a piece of regular cardstock. I got my handy dandy little bag that I got at the Inspired event in 2007. I brought my sister to that. It was a lot of fun to get together with her and go do something that she's not really into, but I am. I think she liked it. She liked it anyways. My sister is like the polar opposite for me in the picture department, whereas these pictures for her they'd never exist. She would have thrown them away 20 years ago. But I don't. I don't like to throw away the pictures, so I think if I work right over here, you can maybe see me a little bit better. So I've got this stack of stuff from, ta-da, that's probably too much light. I just put together a kit of my own supplies, and I also picked up some supplies at the Whimsidoodle scrapbooking yard sale. So I got like embellishment sheets, like this one I used yesterday. I got that for like 25 cents, and I used a bunch of them. Where did I put that page? I think it was a 12 by 12, so not gonna work. Okay, so the title of this page for 1994 is like Trust Your Gut, Lesson Learned. So maybe I'll use some schoolish kind of. It'll be like a school thing, sort of. And I have this sticker sheet, and I'm just really just taking the top, the top ones will work here. Documentary from Studio Calico, and then yeah, I've got several sheets of that. Elementary, so we've got some school themes here, which will totally work. Okay, so I'm thinking like clarity or even morning. So I want to look for either like yellow. Maybe I'll do like a yellow and gray kind of a page. Yeah. And I'm loving this trend that I've been seeing recently, that this is how I dress for work, is I will wear like my basic black, I have this black polka, like with very slight polka dots, like very tiny little polka dots, almost like a pinstripe, but polka dots. I wear like, you know, pretty conservative clothes to work, but then my phone and my purse are like hot pink. So I love to put neutrals, you know, my basic wardrobe is neutrals, and then, thank you, and then I accessorize with the, sorry. Oh. Okay. Just having a little, I've been dusting. with those bottles, you know, there might be a little dust on the bottle. It's a country song. But I think some of that dust got in my eye when I wear contacts. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this regular, I think this is an American craft sheet, down to 8.5 by 11, right? 8.5, whoops, by 11. There we go. Okay, so this is my canvas here. And I think that I can probably move my little table so you can see better. Let's see. Let me see. Sometimes it'll go off when I do this. It might not. Hold on. Oh. Sort of. Well, it gets me better. I think you can just see that better. And sometimes when you move the camera, it just completely goes away. So this is my canvas. And then what I want to do is these pictures, which I almost thought of doing, like, you know, you cut the old boyfriend out, because there's me. So I sort of want to show that picture in all my 90s glory. Oh boy. So I'm kind of tempted to, like, cross him out of that picture. The other story I wanted to tell was everyone in the world told me, oh, this is, you know, the perfect Mr. Right. And I thought he was the perfect Mr. Right. Like, everybody, my parents, everybody, my friends, everyone loved him. Everyone thought, like, he's the greatest thing ever. And then I just woke up with that feeling one day. And so he was away, and then he was coming back into town. Oh, I'm going to use this. This is like, it's like the title of the Crepe Paper Phrases. That's perfect. Because this is, the title of this page is going to be Trust Your Gut. Oh, and maybe this can be the, that's it. Okay, so all of these old pictures of him are going to go, and I don't really want to, you know, he was a really nice guy, and so I don't want to say his name or embarrass him in any way. So I'm putting his pictures in here, okay, and I'm going to sew them up. So we know there's old pictures in here. If anybody wants to tear apart my page in the future, go for it. You know, kids, grandkids, like 100 years from now. But in the meantime, nobody really in my family needs to take a gander at those pictures. They can just go, you know, live in a dark place. Which is fine. It's fine, it's fine. And I don't, you know, harbor any ill feelings towards him. He was a, you know, fantastic guy. And the thing that I think about relationships is that if they're meant to be, they're meant to be, and if they're not, they're not. And so, anyways, he got back from this trip, and I said, I woke up with this thought, and is it true? And he was an honest guy, and his head went down, and well, that was the end of that. You know, that was the end of our relationship. But so I think we actually broke up somewhere around, like, maybe mid 1993. I'm not really sure. I would have to look at my journals. Oh, let's see if this sews. Somewhere in that time, anyways. But then there were a couple of years, so it might have been like halfway through law school, right? So I started law school in 1992 and finished in 1995. So yeah, I bet it was like somewhere in 1993. Because I think he was there for my first year of law school, and then I had that epiphany somewhere in the second year, I think. And but then there were a couple of years where I was single and, like, sort of dating, but nothing was clicking with anyone. So I had that time period of, oh, maybe I made a huge mistake, and maybe he was the one, and he still, like, he wanted to get back the whole time. So I had that opportunity, and he would call and I was resolved to no. It's like you lost your chance and this is never going to work. But I did have some of those like lingering doubts whether I was making the right decision. And everything feels kind of intense when you're, I was in my mid-20s and I wasn't like in a hurry to get married or anything like that, but it was on my radar, I was thinking like I would like to get married before I'm 30 and start having children and that sort of thing. And so time, especially for a girl who goes to law school, it's tricky. Like I know some girls now who are that, they're not in law school, but they're a couple of years out of law school and they're married and they're like, well, I don't know when I'm going to have the time to have the kids because I'm so focused on my career. And like coming from my perspective, I'm like, knock those kids out as fast as you can because you don't want to hit 35 because it just, your body won't be as ready to do that. So anyways, that, having kids was on my radar. There we go. Okay. But it wasn't like my top priority. My top priority really was to get through law school and to start my career. But then if I could simultaneously start my family, like that would be just perfect. So that was kind of where I thought things were going. And then, so when I had this epiphany, and then things were clearly not going to go that way, and then, as a young professional and a student, like as a law student, you don't have much time to go dating unless you date someone that you meet at school. And so a lot of law students end up marrying, whoever they met at law school. That's who you marry. And I really didn't want to marry a lawyer. Famous last words, right? So I didn't think that was a good idea. I thought that was like a pretty bad idea, actually. So here's my page so far. Yeah, I thought that was like a super bad idea. And okay. So this stupid screensaver thing turns me off, and I'd like to keep it on so I can know that you're seeing me. Hold on. So I would like to put it like this, so you see the picture of my friend, or me, the picture of my friend and me, but not him. So I might cover it up that way, but I kind of like to frame her and frame me so you can see them better. So now I'm looking for frames. And then the other thing I want to look for is, I'm thinking the page is going to be set up sort of like that, maybe with some kind of a, maybe these little stickers here, like these stickers would form that little shelf. So I think the first thing I want to do, actually, I kind of like this idea of like the pocket not being attached, like you could kind of like flop it around. I like that. All right, so I'm going to sew this to the page. And the thing about, like, I might not put my friend's picture in there because she had something to do with the story, but I think the picture actually competes with my main picture. And I don't think I want it to. So I think I want to actually cover him up in the picture, but I don't want to do like what I did to my high school boyfriend, which I totally cut him out of the pictures. So I don't really want to, maybe like this. Yes. Okay, so this is the deal. Right? Yeah, that's what's going to happen to his little face. Or his big face. He had a giant face, actually. And so I don't want to, like, totally ruin this. Like, I don't want to tape onto the picture. So I'm just going to put this back like this. And so I'll tape this part to the back. Or maybe, yeah, that'll just gravity-wise help better if that was at the top. So we've got him covered up. But if you wanted to open the page and like flap that little thing up and see what he looked like, you could. And then if you were like super curious, which I bet you my daughter will be someday, you could cut this open and look. She'll probably like someday kind of love that because she loves to like discover stuff and she likes secrets. Or she likes knowing stuff that like maybe other people don't know. I don't know. Okay, so there's my covered up boyfriend picture. And then old boyfriend picture. And then here's the word photo, and that's from, and I'm just gonna like put that like over where his face would be, but I'm not really sticking it to the picture. And then I might even just put, and when my dad came down to visit when I was still with him, and he had these like Olin Mills like photography, what do you call that? Like a coupon. A coupon, that's the word I'm looking for. So I think my dad thought these would be our engagement pictures. This picture that I'm using, right? And then when I broke up with this guy and told my dad why, he was like, oh, cool. Yeah, it says Olin Mills 91. Okay, so that was 1991. So there we go. Isn't that's kind of funny. I'm kind of loving that photo. And so it doesn't, like, design-wise, I'm not sure that, like, that's the most awesome place to put that, but it's kind of, I like it. I'm just leaving it. So this is going to go here, I think, on the page. Yes, like right over that pocket, which also, like, I really want some yellow showing through. I have this yellow. It's a light kind of a yellow. Yeah, I'm just going to put that right over. And I like this because it has, like, this is an October afternoon where it has, what do you call it? It looks like suns. So it looks like flashes almost. Okay. So that's super, I'm gonna even that up just a little bit because it looks a little weird. Yeah, so here we go. And then I think I'm even gonna like not put that, I'm gonna put it off kilter because like that relationship ended up off kilter. Yes, it did. Okay, yeah, that's what's gonna happen to that. So, okay, back to the story. The continuing saga of the 19th or the 20th century. But this is like, this is part of my story, so there you go. And it's also like part of the story where you make decisions about who you're going to be with and who you're not going to be with. And so before my husband and I were together, he had a girlfriend who apparently was like also like Little Miss Popularity, and she was well liked among everyone, and this was a relationship he had during law school, and so, oh, I kind of wish I did this differently now. Too late. Okay, so why I wish I did it differently, because then I could put this over here, you know, and then have my face sticking out and him kind of covered up. But I think now, actually, I'm going to put this down here. I was originally going to put it over, but I might put my Trust Your Gut on there, possibly. No, I think I'm going to put it actually down. I just don't like the, I'm not super loving it. Okay, so I'm choosing between here, here, or on top. I think on top. Oh my gosh, so 2 stories. The way I tell stories is I tell 5 stories at once. Okay, I know the story the story I'm coming back to is the story of my husband's girlfriend when he was in law school. But okay, I'll just tell that quickly so I don't forget it. That story is, he was dating this girl that everyone liked, and like she thought they would get married, because that's what people in law school do. They meet somebody and then they get married. Like, my cousin went to the same law school as I did, and she married the guy that she was dating in law school, and all of her friends pretty much did the same exact thing. And so it's just like, that's very common to do. Yeah. And so my husband's girlfriend in law school thought like that was the program. And so when he then like ended their thing, in a not so awesome way, he was probably the culprit in that one. She was super mad, and she told everybody about it. And that's it. Okay, so she told everybody about it, and then like the plot thickens. So years later, he and I formed our law partnership together, and 15 years later we're still at our law firm, and everything's fine. But early on, and so now I'm just laying some of these little stickers down just to kind of see that. But anyway, this girl was like super mad. As I don't blame her, whatever. But she was so mad that like when her husband, so after my husband and this girl broke up, she went on and like married some other dude she met at law school. And then that dude became like he was like on the opposite side of all these, like we had to, when my husband and I first started in practice together, I used to have to go to court, and he used to have to go to court like all the time, like almost every day. And the other guy was like, he was on the opposing side like a lot of the time because of the nature of these types of cases that we were doing back then. He was like the standard guy to do them, and so we would see this guy like almost on a daily basis. Seriously, it was crazy. And so okay, so I'm thinking I'm gonna put some of these stickers like over those old pictures, so it's like obvious that the pictures are there, but not, yeah, but you might not be able to see them all. So like I'm gonna put some stickers over here, and then I've got stickers down here. I'm planning my title for down here. Okay, back to the original 2 stories. But so we would see this girl's husband, and he would say like, "Do you know what a jerk you're?" And at that point, like, I wasn't married to Charlie, but we had formed this partnership together. So we were lawyers, and we started a firm together. You know, start a firm with your boyfriend. That sounds like a great idea, right? Anyways, I think I'm gonna put this clock in here, just like a ding dong, wake up. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know where it's gonna go yet. Probably just right here. Wonky. Everything's wonky on this page. And he would say, he would try to tell me like, "Oh, Charlie's such a jerk, and you should hate him," and blah 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 blah. Do you know what he did to this other girl? And I did. I knew the whole story, and I was like, I don't understand why you're mad, because you're married. You now have a wife, and you know, I think that, like, I'm pretty sure they've got kids now and live happily ever after. I think I'm gonna put itinerary on here somewhere, because that was part of the story. Like, that was the, okay, so I'm using this crepe paper stuff, and I don't really need, I liked that it said phrases, but I don't really need the ad for like crepe paper. Yeah, so that's going to be going up there. And so finally I was like, said to this guy, like, I don't know why you're mad, because everything like worked out, right? Like, if my husband was not a jerk to your now wife, or my boyfriend was not a jerk to your wife, then you wouldn't have a wife. You would have like some different wife. So like, you should be happy about that. So, you know, it's that whole thing of everything works out for a reason. And so, and it's good to trust your gut. And that is the title of the page. Here's where I am so far. So that's the story, which I haven't really told the whole story here, but I might, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna say like, lesson learned, trust your gut. And I want the bottom pages to be in yellow. So the second part of that story is, as part of the Masterful Scrapbook Design, I'm taking this class, and it's not part of Masterful Scrapbook Design. It's like it's a separate class. But I've really gotten into the whole Get It Scrapped community, and so it's really awesome. Hold on. So I'm in this class called, I never get it right. It's like the guided study critique thing, where we brush up on design principles, and then story, nice, creative. Just looking for some other little thing to cover that up. It might not be a word. Okay. I might use these letters, even though they don't, or the wood grain here. I don't know. Interrupt myself. I really think I want yellow, like bright yellow letters down there. That's what I'm thinking. Here we go. I'm gonna use this old little thing. Okay, so the story is not this story, the story of creating layouts is this. When you're trying to decide where to put stuff on the page, I have this old page. Where did I put it? Hold on. This is definitely a video to watch while you're doing something. Okay, so I have this page right? And this is part of my half-baked pages where I'll put down like the pictures and some pattern paper. Like this is my, just show you my little folder of half-baked pages, right? So I have this one, and I have, and some of them have photos and some of them don't. This one. So there's no journaling, there's no embellishments, and there's no title. This one. I was really playing with that full bleed concept where you get the picture to the edge of the page. And so I've even done like on some of them, they've got sewing and, or they're color blocked in some way. So I can go and just then plop down the pictures and be finished with that page. Or this one's like just mostly the pictures and then it just needs some words. It just needs to be finished. That one looks finished. I don't know why it's still in there. Huh. That one needs to go in the album because it's all done. Ta-da. But these are just called my half-baked pages, and so here's a cute one. So what I did was, in the Masterful Scrapbook Design Critique, they said, if you've got a page that just isn't working, and this page isn't one that's just not working, it's just I just haven't finished it yet. So I scanned that in, or I photographed it and sent it in, and then Celeste Smith and Doris Sander are my, like, the teachers, and then I think Emily Pitts and Paula Gillard are the teachers for those two sections. So I put that in, and then Celeste Smith, like, put that into her Photoshop and, like, did, you know, here's where to put the title, here's where to put your strip, here's where to put the journaling. It was, so I'm going to do that, and I'll show you the end result. It was like, oh, that's so interesting. And it's so interesting to, like, take someone's idea like that and to do something that I wouldn't set it up the way she set it up. And I think there's more than one correct way to set this up, but that will be fun to do it her way. Okay, now I really forgot the original story I was telling. It is gone. The story. Okay, here's story. And that adds a little bit of yellow. That was our other little joke in the itinerary phrases story, so that's not really working. But this sort of is. Okay. I don't even remember anymore. That's where you need another person present. Okay. So I thought I wanted yellow. I'm thinking possibly blue, but probably not. And now I am just trying to remember what my title is going to be. Trust your gut. That was it. So I also have this one. Kind of want... I thought I wanted the title to be kind of bigger than that. But, ha! I stuck it down. So, there. Yeah. But so anyways, after I made the decision to break up with this guy, right? Okay, this is where in my layout process, where after I've figured out like pretty much what I'm going to do, then I take everything on my page and say like, well, I'm not going to use that, and I'm not going to use that, and I'm not going to use all this stuff. So I start like cleaning up halfway through my process. And I'm not a person who is naturally super organized. So I've built into my scrapbooking process to clean up every single time. And so I do. Because I've also been of the school of like, leave it out, and it's interesting to see the connections and to see the different papers together, but it's also better for me when I like the way my scrapbook room looks. Okay, I got a couple more of these really like cute little stickers. So I want those to go almost underneath. I don't want to use the whole. I sort of want a wonky item. Make them wonky. A little bit wonkier. Okay, and then this piece up at the top where I want to cover the words crepe paper is like a little bit too thick, so I'm just making it a little bit thinner. Cool. Okay. One more of those. I wish these would like point the other direction. I wonder if I can make them do that. I bet if I cut this in half, this is like a Studio Calico sticker. I don't know if this is gonna work. Where I like turn it around? No. Huh. That didn't work. That one back. I really want the direction to be going like the other way, and it's just being too matchy for me. So I might just bring in a different strip. But yeah, I start to, as I figure out like, okay, I'm not going to use this. I'm not going to use this. I'm not going to use this. Oh, I might use a blackboardy kind of a thing, maybe. At the bottom here. Looks kind of schoolish. And this is kind of like a lesson. Like, oh, I learned that lesson. We all have some lessons to learn when we're that age. Yeah, I totally lost my train of thought now, so sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, so I've messed it up. So I'm gonna put it back. I don't like that. I don't like it. I'm gonna take that out. So I do like to, when I make pages, do that improv thing where you like commit to it, but I also try to make my pages look okay. And they, I'm gonna use this one. There we go. The gray on gray was not contrasty enough. Okay. It probably needs like one more thing. But yeah, so the lesson of that story was Celeste Smith like will take her idea for a layout and like sketch it out in Photoshop to see if that's gonna look good and then do it. Which that's like very interesting to me. It's not how I make pages, but I think that you can grow creatively when you do things that you don't normally do. And I'm not really good at Photoshop. I really should learn it, but I tried to learn it a couple times and it's always been you know what I should do? I'm gonna sign over there saying join the fun class at the art center. I should just go down to the art center and take a class, because with Photoshop my issue is I can watch a video about it and then be like, well, wait a minute. None of this is working. And so if I was there in person, I think it would be, that's what I will do. I'm going to take a class, because I've had that on my mind since the beginning of the year. That was one of the things I posted up there. Go take a class. All right. Getting closer to the end. So as I'm getting closer to the end, I really do like start packing it up. Isn't that weird? But then it kind of gives my brain, I think, a chance to be working on what, not exactly what I want to say, but sort of like what I want to say in the journaling. So I'm kind of trying to, oh, you know what? This is the century project, and it needs to be the year. So this picture was 1991. So even though the story is more for me about that decision I made in 1993, 1994, I think I'm going to leave this as 1991. And then I'm going to take, like, there's some black here in the photo, and I'm just going to take, yes, black letters. It's not going to be yellow. I thought it was going to be yellow, but it's not. And then a quick little story here. Yes, that's the ticket. That's what I'm gonna do. That totally works. Because I saw this sticker, and one of the things said year, and I was like, oh yeah, that was supposed to be the year. So I think for some people, like planning out your layouts, like in Photoshop, is probably really a useful way to do it. I really like to, I like the process of really listening to my gut and my intuition, which is also what the topic of this page is trust your gut, and trust your gut about decisions that you have to make, and about the creative process even. And yeah, it's just, that's when I really learned that lesson, is to trust your gut. That's the lesson I got from that one. So the big journaling bit here, this big sticker will have the year 1991, and then this will be a little trust your gut, because the focus of the album that this is going into is about each year. That's it. So I'm gonna put this kit away and then just find some letter stickers, and then I will be finished. So I talk a lot about this, like combining improvisational comedy techniques to scrapbooking, and trusting your instincts and listening to even yourself is really important. And what happened for me was last summer I took an improv class, and like halfway through the class, and it was like a 6 to 8 week class, I want to say. So we went every Saturday for like 4 hours. But halfway through the class, I had this like epiphany of everything they're telling us to do in this class can totally be applied to scrapbooking. And so I sat down and like wrote that down, and then the instructor and I started working on this book, and about improvisational comedy as applied to business, and then but also as applied to scrapbooking. And so there were actually like 2 different projects going on there. And so I started writing this book. 1991. I need to, I think I can use these letters. These are old letters. They're probably from 1991. Or I can use, I might be able to use these letters. So we'll see which ones fit better. But so anyways, we have this book like half written, and then like a couple days ago, I was doing my Ustreaming, and I thought I lost my Ustream thing, that I'm, like what I'm doing right now. I thought I like didn't save it, so I just like put in the search engine the Scrapbook Improv, and because sometimes that's the little term I use in the thing, and I saw Lane Amen, who does the Load Challenge, and True Scrap, had Scrapbook Improv, and I'm like, what's this? So she's doing and I had told her about it back in February. So I believe that she says she forgot about it, and I believe her, because I forget about stuff too. but it was kind of like a, aw. So she's doing, and it's interesting, so you should watch. She's doing this, a scrapbook improv show, which is similar to this, but it's different. What she's doing is, it's more like, the comedy club improv. And like she's got a spinner and it's fun. It's like a game show, which is a really cool idea. But it's not totally like what this idea is. And my idea is more about it's less extroverted, it's more introverted. So I'm not, with my concept of improvisational scrapbooking or improvisational comedy techniques as applied to scrapbooking, is not so you can like put on a show, which is cool. That's awesome, and I think that really works for what she's doing. But mine is more of a, these are the thought processes, like this is the brain warp that you need to get to be able to make more authentic and faster pages. And it's not, it can be though, like she's got a spinner and like, should I use stickers or should I use ribbon? And that's also a way, if you're having trouble like putting pages together, that's like a more of a technique, I think. But she included story in there too, so I like what she's doing. It was a little like, aw, because I've got this book that's like, it's been honestly on my back burner a little bit, but it's like half finished, and so now I'm like, well, I don't know if I should finish it or not. Who knows? Yeah, so there's that. Okay, so now I'm going to do my little journaling. I wanted to say trust your gut, or lesson learned, trust your gut. The other story I want to tell is one of the conversations I had before I had this epiphany was with my friend in law school, Karen. And Karen, like as a side note, was a lesbian. But what was so cool is like she and I were talking about relationships, and like really like they were like, things are, we were so different, but yet our feeling, the way we felt about our partners were very similar. And so she was saying, this might have been, I don't know if it was before or after, but it was a conversation that just lingered with me and has stayed with me over the years. And she said something like, and it might have been with the time when I was feeling like, oh, well, maybe I made the wrong decision and maybe I really should have stayed with him because everybody liked him and now I'm lonely. But I really think it was before. I really do. Just like a little plug for chronological scrapbooking, because you can then you could remember when stuff happened. But for purposes of this story, it's not super important when it happened. But I really do think it was before, now that I think about it. Anyways, see, there you go. Like, that's why I would say give her the benefit of the doubt on the improv scrapbooking thing, because I forget stuff too. So I get that, and we're all busy moms, and I know, I get it. But I was a little sad, but I get it, and it's cool. Anyways, Karen said to me, so I want to say, trust your gut. She said that she was thinking she was in this relationship where it was a serious relationship that she'd been in for a couple of years, and she was like feeling like it just wasn't right anymore, but she was afraid of the whole breakup process. And then she said to herself, well, what's the worst that could happen? Like, I'd be lonely and it would suck. And then she did break up with this person, and then she was lonely, and then it sucked. And she's like, so there, it did. That's okay. Like, it doesn't, and so that little conversation just, like, it was so profound. I don't know, it doesn't even sound that, it is though. Like, if you, with the whole concept of trusting your gut, I don't like the way these letters are showing up on this space here. The negative spaces. That's funny. But the negative space is not working. So I might stick the letters together and then just cut them. That probably works slightly better. So these are they're called script alphabets. So usually you would arrange them differently, but I've just made them into one because I just didn't like the way they were looking. Because I don't know if I want to, I don't know. I don't think I like them there. I think I like them down here. Yeah. They'll work better down there. Trust your gut. Yeah, so I think the thing with the trust your gut concept is sometimes your gut will tell you to do something that you don't really want to do. Like, I didn't really want to make this page. Like, I woke up with this today, and I was like, I do not want to make a page about that. Like, I don't. I would like to skip over that little, that's not an important part of my story anymore. But it sort of is, if you just skip over I'm going to skip over the early 90s because I hadn't met my husband yet. It's not really, that's not your whole story. I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, I don't think that, that it will suck, shouldn't stop you from trusting your gut. And it shouldn't stop you from, creating a layout, a scrapbook layout, or telling your story, that you think, oh, well, this might suck. That shouldn't stop you. And so you should trust your gut, even if the result won't be something that you think is I don't know how to say that, but it's this very internal thing of knowing, I have to listen to, and that's my point with the improv as applied to scrapbooking, is for me, it can be external in that I'm listening to, listening is a huge part of improv, and so listening and hearing what your people are saying so you can document that, but also it's listening to deep within your soul or what you wake up with in the morning. Trusting your gut that if that is what you're waking up with, or that is something that's on your mind, you should express it, even if it doesn't seem like you want to. And even if it doesn't seem like you want to break up with that technically perfect guy, maybe there's maybe your gut's telling you that because I think what happens is you pick up, your gut picks up on, your brain and your gut are different. Or even your your friendliness and your gut are different. So you can still pick up on things that I don't know. I just think whatever I wake up with in the morning, that's true. So I should put something in there about that, is that first intuition thing, or even when you're taking tests. In law school, they always would say when you're taking the test, the LSAT or the bar exam, or the tests in school weren't really multiple choice. They were more like essay tests, so it didn't really apply to during law school. But any kind of a multiple choice test, if you go with your first instinct, you're usually gonna That's usually going to be the right one. So I'm just trying to place these attractively. And it's not working. They're just not that attractive. Because there's going to be like this little gap that I don't want. Like this negative space that I'm not happy about. But I guess I can put a little circle underneath there so it doesn't make that negative space. Oh, well, I'm going to put this... I might even put this airplane on here. It doesn't seem like it goes. Well, it doesn't fit either, which is annoying now because the airplane is kind of important to this story because he was coming back on this airplane when I had my little epiphany, and then I might stick it up here. I might stick it like, yeah, pointing towards the journaling, possibly. No, that's not working. Oh, come on. Because it was like a crash and burn, right? It didn't work out. So usually you wouldn't point an airplane going down. But this is sort of pointing, maybe I'll just point it going sideways, not down. So it's pointing at me. I don't think that helped. Oh well. Oh, come on. Where's my, I need to, I'm just gonna have to live with that negative space because that's okay. It is kind of a negative space. Okay, let us finish this puppy. The nice thing about doing a page you didn't necessarily want to do is sometimes it's a bit cathartic, you know, because you get it off your brain and your chest, and like obviously I was thinking about it, so, and I don't think about this very often, but I guess I was sort of thinking about it because when I was organizing the timeline for this century project, I was sort of thinking like, oh, what am I going to do about that time period? And so this is what I'm doing about this time period. I don't know what to say. I'm going to say lesson learned. Oh, I didn't stick that down yet. I don't want to say trust your gut again. Listen to your intuition. And I don't want to spell intuition wrong, so I'm going to look that up. I think it's tuition. Intuition. Hold on here. Intuition. Yeah. Listen to your intuition, especially the first morning half thoughts. Because a lot of times when I wake up, it's not a completely formed thought, and you kind of have to like sit with it a little bit before you come back into the awake world. So what you, like your dream world sometimes can tell you things. I really believe that. So I'll, if I feel like something's kind of on my brain when I wake up, I'll just kind of, I'll lay there for a minute before I open my eyes. I'll just try to stay in that moment and remember as much as I can before I get up. So that's my lesson learned. Okay, page is just about done. And I will put this up on my Kiss and Tell scrapbooking blog. And I think it needs one Brad. And like, wasn't that like there was something back in the early 90s about like Brad. I think it must have been like a Jennifer Aniston thing. Like, oh, Brad was like the perfect boyfriend name. Like a Baldwin. Remember that from Clueless? I don't know. I need one Brad. Or I really just am too lazy to put one Brad on, so I'm just gonna. Well, it didn't work. I was gonna say color in that circle. It started coming up. Oh no, that didn't work at all. Okay. I think I'm gonna leave it empty because this turned out empty. So there's my symbolism. Ta-da! There's the page. And you know what? After you do this, then it feels like, I feel better. I feel done. I feel like all finished. Yeah. So that's my take on improvisational comedy techniques as applied to scrapbooking. And I have there's many. There's like 10. Or my improv coach and I would sit down and we'd be like, okay, there's 7. Nope, there's 13. We've got. Here's my book here. So here's my kind of in progress book, right? Improv. But we would, and I had even like created, like I've got all the layouts created and scanned and uploaded and da 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 da. Really, I just should have gotten like off my. I should have finished, but it didn't seem like an urgent thing to finish. So hindsight, right? But some of the improv concepts are yes, and in other words, like agreeing with whatever is put it out there and then adding to it. So yeah, that's so. And then commit wholly, meaning like don't just be half into it. Like just really go with it. Go with your gut. Be present. So listening to what your brain is telling you and that's what I don't really like. Even though I'm doing the Century Project, which seems so chronological, it really, I'm not doing it in a chronological way. I'm doing it and it'll get more challenging towards the end where I'm like, I don't know what to do with 1947. Like, there's nothing. But anyways, for now, in the beginning stages of the Century Project scrapbook, I really am being present in as far as like what is speaking to me, and then how do I apply that to a year. Listen, be specific, try something new, play, make your team look good, we kept talking about concise and concision, and we were going to invent that word, and be positive and enthusiastic and authentic. And so that's I'm going to have to revisit. And I've even I do this thing too where I kind of will be super social for a while and then I'll be all introverted for a while, and I've been doing that introverted thing over the summer. And so my improv coach has been like, hey, how you doing? Are you ready to come out and play again yet? And I've been like, no. And I've really been at work kind of nose to the grindstone. And then I've had a situation where I can start playing again, but I wanted to keep that play kind of to myself. And yeah, so even though I don't know, but so I guess we need to finish that. So Mr. Martini, I guess I will be giving you a call. He's my coach. Yeah. So there you go. It is I think this is episode number 6 of the Century Project, the Century Scrapbook Project. And I bid you adieu. Bye-bye. I'm Katie Scott with Kiss and Tell Scrapbooking, but you probably already know that, but I feel like I should say it. Goodbye.